Welcome back. So I kind of let the title screen play a little bit while I was getting ready for the episode, and that's why you don't really hear the nice intro music. You just hear like normal ambience music, if you can't even hear it. So last episode we did what again? Oh yeah, we unsuccessfully deorbited a rocket, but we did successfully put it in orbit, which is a great step for mankind. So, before how I said, last episode I mentioned my new, uh, what would you call it? My new channel name, and I would like to change it, although I can't change it here because there's no setting button. However, I can change it out of game. I can just go to the Kerbal Space Program save files and just change the title there, and I believe it would just change it here. So, with further ado, let's get on with the episode. Of successfully launching a rocket into space and deorbiting it successfully as well. So, back to the vehicle assembly building. With nice music, and it's daytime here actually, so it doesn't turn to night here. But it does on the main view screen, which is good. So we're loading up our rocket again. Rocket from last episode. K-Orbiter 1. Orbiter 1, I guess you could call it. So, that's what it looks like. I did fire off the solid rocket boosters at 1 kilometer, which probably isn't the smartest thing to do, especially when this is fighting by itself. So, other adjustments that we will do: more powerful and no gimbaled engines. Powerful engines with no gimbaling. You can see that they actually are larger. Ooh, that's external symmetry. And I don't think I need gimbal with all 10 of these ailerons and the really cool new RCS. And if we're going to deorbit, or SAS, if we're going to deorbit, let's add RCS. What's RCS? Well, that's a great question. RCS, or monopropellant, as I will probably be calling it in the future, it's a form of fuel. It's just like rocket fuel, although it doesn't use a flame. It just shoots less compressed. Monopropellant tank is basically a tank of liquid, and when it goes through the special monopropellant thrusters, or RCS thrusters, it's turned into gas, which provides the propulsion, not a flame. So if I go over to control, you see here we have RCS thruster blocks. The Apollo missions in real life had RCS thruster blocks, and what they do is, if you can see, each one of these has 4 nozzles, and when I am turning my ship. Now this is not helpful at all for the small ship. For the small ship, it's such a small upper stage, as you can see. Like, it's just one fuel tank and a cockpit, so it's not really that big. But I'll go into more detail how it can be actually helpful in some cases on a small ship like this, and how it's helpful on big ships. But what happens is, when you're rolling, pitching, or even yawing, or not even yawing, but when you're rolling, pitching, and yawing, if you turn on your RCS, it'll not only will your torque of your actual cockpit turn the system, but your RCS thrusters. For example, if you wanted to roll clockwise, every leftmost thruster from your thruster block, or actually not leftmost, I'm horrible at directions, rightmost, so the one here, the one there, the one there, etc., will all fire. So you'll have propelling this way, propelling that way, propelling this way, and propelling that way. And that combined propulsion will actually make the whole rocket spin in the other direction for the other rotation, and etc. And I'll go into that, I guess, in more detail. I'm not really going to explain anymore, but they fire gas in certain directions to propel the rocket and allow it to use its roll, yaw, and pitch. I gotta keep changing this flag back every time. I think I'm gonna try and make the flag the same size and see if that helps. Although, if I keep it at this resolution, when it's on the wall, it looks so nice. I think it might just be the mission flag. I think if I go to the actual, the flag for our file, might work better. So, I'm gonna, is there anything else I wanted to change? No, I think I'm gonna try this, because I'm not going to, I'm gonna keep flying until I successfully do it. And so I guess we'll save it and launch it and see if we can successfully orbit and deorbit our rocket. Hopefully. So it's nighttime. It's a good time to launch our rocket. You can see Minmus over there. See the moon straight above or ahead, whatever you'd like to say. And without further ado, Rufford, Kerman, and I will fly to Kerbal Space. Turn on our SAS. Fly through the cosmos. You need full power, I remember. And ooh, what? Why is our staging all messed up? Hold it up. Okay, so this one I can just adjust the staging right here, which is fine. But in the future, I'm gonna have to change it then. Change it later. So we want thrusters, then release. Okay, here we go. Sorry, we got it. To open down our resources, and we'll begin with takeoff. Slow ascent and solid rocket boosters. So you are greatly increasing this. If I go over to the map, you can see it's increasing quite a bit, I guess. It's increasing our time until we reach apoapsis is increasing 1 second basically per second. It's going a little faster than per second. It's like 1 second per 2 seconds. So now we're already 5 kilometers up in the amount of time that took us to reach 1 kilometer. And now I can, we're decelerating for just a little bit, but now we're going to start accelerating again. So if you notice, I'm going to kind of measure the difference and figure out which way was better. Turning on my SRBs at 1 kilometer in height, or just turning on my SRBs as soon as we launch. It seems as though I feel like this one might be slightly more advantageous. So now we'll go back here, and if you look, we're already at. Once we get to 100, I think we're going to stop it there. Cut our engines. And 100,000 means 1,000 means the same. Now we're moving the speed of a bullet. It doesn't even look like, well, it does actually look like we're moving, but if you look this way, it doesn't even look like we're moving, which is cool. That's because of the huge different distances in space. So in our map, select on our apoapsis, add a maneuver. Ugh, I hate how it's never actually perfectly tangent. I think if I do that, whatever, I'll just do it. Okay. And it's an orbit of 40,000. That's 90,000. 240. Okay, that's good enough for me. So now these other ones, this blue thing with a dot and the blue one without a dot are basically, well, the blue one with a dot is basically pointing straight upward and firing. The blue one with a dot is pointing downward and firing. The triangle with the dot is basically pointing yes, if prograde. Okay, so it's pointing left of prograde is the triangle with a dot. Triangle without a dot is pointing right of prograde. But regardless of that, we gotta fire very soon. So let's align. If we look, this would be a helpful time for RCS. You see the thrusters are adjusting it. Let's align to the dot, turn off our RCS, and begin firing now. We should be running out of fuel any second now. Or, yeah. And out of fuel. So I'll eject that. I'll turn on the next stage. I will turn on the time warp. 4 times time warp is a little excessive, I feel. So I think I'll put it back down to 3 times time warp. Look at here. Sending. Hopefully won't be able to still make it. Let's go 4 times time warp. Doesn't really change it, whichever time warp. And now we're back in the atmosphere, but I think we'll be able to escape the gravitational pull. Planet Kerbal. Will we? I don't know. No, we probably won't. That was awful. That was such a terrible time. I don't know what it was that I did differently. I think I I waited too long to begin my maneuver, I guess, because of my I was showing you guys the different directions. Well, maybe I'll just cut it out, but probably not, because you need to learn my failures. So, actually, I will just speed this back up till I crash down without dignity. Oh, there's a space center, is it? Yep, that's the space center right there. That dot is our plane space center. If I slow down, you see, it's 62 kilometers away. It seems about right. So I think we're going to be crashing down on the ocean, because there's an ocean. There's the continent of Kerbal, where the Kerbal Space Station is, or Kerbal Space Center is. There's the other ocean. Oh my gosh, we're not even going to. That's crazy. We were going fast enough that we actually went through the atmosphere and didn't even crash down. That's unbelievable. I am awestruck. I believe that has happened to me before, but I don't even think I noticed it when it has happened to me before. Because now we're back in space. Oh, well, I should be paying more attention to the map. But you can see that even if even if NASA really failed at getting the rocket into space, it's not like they would ever do that. But if they did fail, they could still potentially be in space. Or in my case, I totally failed everything, and lucky me, I was going fast enough to actually get in orbit. Although it wasn't very good. So I'm going to speed up time again. I'm going to slow down time and then speed it, turn down my throttle, and then speed it up. Now I'm in space, I can speed it up more. So around my apoapsis, So now this is where RCS comes in handy. So not only can I zoomed out a lot. Not only can you use RCS for your roll, pitch, and yaw, you can actually use it. There's the keys I, J, K, L, H, and N control functions on your keyboard. So I'm going to line up with prograde. If I turn on my RCS and I hit I, you see I'm just going upward. If I hit K, I'm going downward. If I hit J, I'm going away from Kerbin. If I hit L, I'm going towards Kerbin. If I hit N, I'm slowing down. If I hit H, I'm speeding up. So H is basically firing your engine. It's burning prograde. And with N, you can face prograde while burning retrograde, which is kind of helpful, I guess, if you have a really big ship and you gotta go a little bit retrograde, then prograde, then retrograde, then prograde. And you don't want to turn around because it takes too long. So I'm just using my monopropellant because I ran out of fuel, and there's no need to use monopropellant anyways, because there's nothing we're really doing that requires it. So I'm going to try and use the magic of monopropellant to accelerate, as you can see, to propel myself. And if you look here, 56 kilometers. I hold down, and now hold down H for a couple seconds, and sorry, at 70 kilometers, just above space. Look at that, just 2 meters above the atmosphere, just below the horizon of space. Although right there's probably enough oxygen or enough atmosphere to slow me down a little. So let's see, if I hold down H, I count for like 10 seconds. So 70 kilometers. Let's say I count for 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, at 83. So with this, I'm increasing my orbital height by more than a kilometer per second. But I'm not increasing my velocity by a kilometer per second. If you look, I'm only increasing my velocity by about 10 meters per second. Well, I'm increasing it this way, and when I increase when I increase my velocity this way, it's making my trajectory, instead of that, it's going to be that. And when it comes out here, that actually means that it have less gravitational pull, and I'll go a bit further and further and further and come back. Which is how, right here, if I reached 8 kilometers per second, I'd escape the velocity of curve, and I go out further and further, further and further and further and further and further. And that's how you can, or not 8, 11.2. But that's actually how you can escape the velocity of a planet. Oh, we're about to approach our apoapsis right now. That's how you can escape a planet's gravity without actually reaching its escape velocity, because on the surface it's 11.2 kilometers per second for Earth and for Kerbin. But the higher you go up, the less it gets. So right around here, it's probably 11.0 opposed to 11.2. And the further you go out, the less it gets. From here, it's probably, I don't know, about maybe 9, maybe even 8. And here it's probably like 4 kilometers per second, of course. And then here, it's probably maybe 1 kilometer per second, and it's not like you're going to be traveling much slower than that out here. So you're probably, if you're out here, you probably already escaped Kerbin's velocity or Kerbin's gravity. It's cool. About to cross paths, or at least in the X and Y coordinates, with our other rockets directly right here. Although it would pass maybe 10 kilometers above me. So Or maybe a little less, maybe 5 kilometers. So we're just waiting out here, orbit. So we successfully achieved orbit, and now I'll bet you a lot of money that, or I'll bet, well, I won't bet anybody, kind of, it's an expression, but I can land, or not land, but, you know, well, yeah, land. I can deorbit this with my propellant. Well, you're probably like, oh, that's kind of cheating because you're supposed to deorbit it with the engine. Well, I never said that. I just said I have to deorbit it. And especially, like, for example, the Apollo 13, their oxygen, one of their oxygen filters wasn't working. Or, yeah, carbon dioxide filters that turn into oxygen wasn't working. They should have just brought a couple plants, you know? But, so they couldn't land on the moon and then get back in and then go back to Earth. They had to make a trip back. But they had so much velocity heading towards the moon. They were like maybe 15 meters per second. Or 15 kilometers per second, sorry. And they were just heading straight towards it. And you can't just fire your thruster retrograde and just stop going that fast, come back. That'd be such a waste of fuel, and they'd probably end up not being able to come back. Probably end up slowly going towards the moon, maybe at about 1 kilometer per second. They wouldn't have enough fuel to turn around. So they just adjusted their velocity horizontally, and they used the moon to pull them back around and towards Earth, which is a very good idea. And the idea, of course, had been around a lot before then, but nevertheless, it was a very good idea. And then again, for some people, they could argue, well, you didn't really successfully make a mission because, or not successfully, but you didn't really do anything because you didn't fire your thrusters, use the moon. Well, that's because you can't fire your thrusters to do that. Or at least they couldn't. And I can't use my thruster here. I could just go build another rocket, but this is just as good. It's not like I can't do it. So I think we should deorbit now so I can try and land around the Kerbal Space Center. Actually, I want to land during the day, so I'm actually going to time warp it until... Oh, it took forever. I want to continue time warp until the planet, the Kerbal Space Center, is in sunlight. Okay, sorry, that took like maybe 3 minutes. I just don't think you'd want to just sit there and make the video longer. It'd take longer to upload, take longer to, I don't know, edit, stuff like that. So, I think I'm going to speed it up one more time so I can start decelerating on the dark side of Kerbin. Now, I can only accelerate this 100 times, so if I was about out here, I could accelerate it maybe 10,000 times, so it'd be much quicker to do. So I get the periapsis right here. I will. Moon is, and moon. It's cool. I will start decelerating now. So, just for the heck of it, I want to point towards the way that I'm retrograding. And so I'm going to point prograde and hold down N, and I'll retrograde. And if I look at my this is not my periapsis, my apoapsis is the one that's going to change. Which isn't very efficient because you think, okay, it's much easier to just change that. Well, I don't want to. I want to try and land here. So I'm going to change my apoapsis. And I don't want to just bring the apoapsis down because then I'd just land right there. But by the time I get over there, this would be here. So I want to get this to land, or to lower to about there. So if I start here, the very opposite side of your orbit. So if I'm here in my orbit, then right here is what's going to lower when I'm lower or raise, depending on if I'm burning prograde or burning retrograde. You know what this kind of looks like? This kind of looks like Siam right here. This totally looks like Africa. That totally looks like Europe. This totally looks like Asia, of course. Although this doesn't really look like North America to me. And I don't know what this third continent is. Or third huge landmass. That's kind of what would be the Bering Sea. So maybe this isn't Kerbin. Maybe this is a primitive Earth. I don't know. It's a nice theory, I guess. Nevertheless, I'm going to decelerate, and I'm going to turn on physical time warp so I can decelerate while I'm, or I can decelerate faster. You can see it decelerating. And my periapsis will move to the point that's lowering, because it will be my periapsis then, or there. And G around there. So this is moving slightly back here because, well, it's not always going to do the exact opposite. It really kind of depends. Once you get down to a certain point, it's not going to be the exact opposite. Once you get down to a certain point, it's going to be different. Okay. Nevertheless, I'm out of amount of propellant, and I'm going to speed up. And now I'm in the atmosphere. 68 kilometers up, going over the mountains. I'm not that great at my science of orbit, so don't take everything I said. Like, I wasn't 100% sure about that opposite side of the orbit thing. I know it is at some points in your orbit when you burn, it will affect the exact opposite. But of course, there it wasn't. For reasons I'm not sure of, so I can't explain everything. Although I will try to, and I will learn to be able to. I'm going to speed this up, and around, so you can see up here, it says lowering down to here. Like, I'm getting into the atmosphere, so it's thickening, and you can see that this is there's no atmosphere, thin air, atmosphere, stratosphere, troposphere. Around here, or I don't know why that changed. Around here, you should see re-entry effects. Is that, where am I now? Planet. Oh, okay, so I'm passing near there. You can see the continent, and re-entry effect should be starting somewhere around that. There we go. So on fire. It looks like it's on fire. It doesn't. They haven't actually added the re-entry effects of heat. They just added the re-entry effects of, like, just the visual effects. Let's speed that up a bit more. So this is just, the friction is so great, it's causing a cloud of fire around my rocket. Not in the game, but it appears that way. But they haven't yet added the heat, like I just said. And it does in real life too. And eventually I slow down enough. The friction is not really great enough as a fire. That looks really cool, by the way. It just looks like propelling along. Or that doesn't look very cool. Hold on. What's that? There we go. Oh, that's why. It looks like I'm just firing so fast and I'm causing this. So I guess I'm not going to be landing at Kerbal Space Center. I guess I'm landing a bit before there. Nevertheless. And then I should be seeing a Mach cone. But maybe I wasn't going fast enough on a re-entry. So the Mach cone was hidden in the re-entry heat effects. So I should be landing probably right around here. I'm going pretty slowly for a rocket descending. And again, that's probably because of that I'm really heavy. Although that doesn't really make sense. Let's eject that stage. Have that fall down. I'll turn off my SS because you can see it shaking here and here. If I turn on my SS, it will automatically go point retrograde. Perfect. 2,000 or 2 kilometers. Oh, we're getting awfully close. 1 kilometer. Oh, the ground's coming up fast. Open the chute. Oh. Oh, you know what? That wasn't so that didn't my parachute didn't open at 500 meters. It opened at like 800 meters. That's because we're in a slightly higher terrain. It's 500 meters from the terrain, and the terrain isn't always at sea level. So, for example, the terrain at Kerbal Space Center is 60 meters. So I believe actually that means that it would open 540 or 440 meters above. Yeah, 440 meters above ground. So this ground is probably like 360 meters above sea level. Yeah. Coming in at 6 meters per second. And successfully deorbited and landed. And now Roford Kerman is doing a little jig, I guess. Really happy to be alive and well, unlike whatever his name is up in orbit. Got any fuel, no RCS, can't deorbit or anything, just stuck there for eternity. Or is he? Because he might just do a rendezvous mission. But not for a while, because we don't care about him enough to make it a priority. We'll just probably let him sit there for maybe about a year, I guess. And then maybe we'll go and save him. I don't know. But that's the end of an episode. Next episode, we'll fly to the moon. Bye.